Hello, 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 whiskey folks. Happy Monday. If you're here and you've had a Monday like I've had, welcome. You definitely need a drink. I always say winter is my nemesis. There's always something that happens in the winter. People run into people get stuck on the road. I don't know. A lot happens in the winter. But today, we're not going to talk about winter, even though the distillery we're going to talk about is somewhere in the middle of where winter can be a little harsh. So, if you're here, thank you so much for joining. Um, if you're seeing this on Facebook or on LinkedIn or on Twitter, make sure you actually push the like button, share this with your friend, bring them in. And if you never heard of this distillery, I feel bad for you because this distillery have been have been dangerous, right? Dangerous is the word I would use in the whiskey industry. They came about a few years back, and they started penetrating the market slowly, and now they're becoming a known name. Today, I brought the lead distiller, uh, Kate Douglas, to tell us a little bit about Keeper's Heart. If you never heard of Keeper's Heart, it's new on the market. It's something different than what we used to, but is Ireland meet America to create something that you probably are not ready for. We get bored sometime of the regular whiskey. Why don't you change it a little bit? So if you're here, welcome. And ladies and gentlemen, help me bring in Miss Kate Douglas.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. And again, if you're here, make sure you push the like button, share this with your friend. And if you're on Facebook, we will love your love. And if you have questions, don't hesitate. Jump in. We love question. Kate, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. For people that don't know who in the heck you are, tell us who you are.
Well, my name is Kate Douglas. I'm one of the lead distillers at Keeper's Heart. Yeah, I've been in the industry for, oh gosh, since 2015. And so I've, worked with a couple distilleries and moved from Colorado to Minnesota to work at O'Shaughnessy Distilling Company here, and we produce Keeper's Heart. So, do you want me to go into the whole shebang of the distillery, or what do you want
Hey,
to? How you
yes.
want to go with this?
What is Keeper's Heart?
Yeah, so Keeper's Heart is, I mean, you kind of alluded to it earlier. It's a blend of Irish and American whiskeys. Our master distiller is Brian Nation. So he is the former master distiller at Middleton. So he was making, all of the spot whiskeys, Middleton Very Rare, Jameson, Redbreast, Powers. So, a lot of the Irish whiskey that we get here in the U.S. And the O'Shaughnessy's convinced him to leave Ireland and move to Minnesota, out of all places in the U.S.
Out of all places.
Out of all places, move to Minnesota, move to the Twin Cities, and start this really great project. So currently, what we have on the market is a blend of Irish and American whiskeys, but we also have these beautiful pot stills. So they're gorgeous Forsyths. Pot stills made in Scotland. We brought them over here, so we're making whiskey in the classic Irish style of triple pot distillation,
Okay.
but also putting America's kind of spin on it with doing 100% rye and doing a bourbon. So really styles that aren't traditionally made with triple pot distillation. Doing that here. So Brian always likes to say we're Irishizing American whiskey, Americanizing Irish whiskey. And then we also have a column, so we can play with continuous column distillation as well.
Okay. So you have column and you have pot. You're doing things a very different way.
We are.
Than what the normal distillery. I mean, distillery have been doing most of this. But what sets you apart is you're doing some American rye, and you're also are you, which is the biggest question usually people ask, is are you importing this thing? This Irish whiskey?
Yeah. So what we have in the market right now is a blend. So it is truly Irish American I mean, there's a plus sign on the label for a reason.
Yes, let me show the label to the folks. So this label is pretty clear. It's Irish plus American, right? Whiskey. That's what you're getting. So if you're telling me Irish plus American, are you saying that there's you guys have a your master blender that looks at it and go, I'm gonna do this percentage of Irish whiskey and this percentage of rye whiskey? Is that what's happening?
Yeah. So originally, when everything got started, it was right in the heart of the pandemic. And so Brian couldn't actually come over from Ireland yet. So we were kind of sending whiskey back and forth. And, he really wanted to blend pots, classic Irish pot still whiskey with American.
Hmm.
And we ended up not loving that combination just with the two.
Okay.
We added some Irish grain whiskey in there as well. And that really helped blend everything together, meld it together, really make it pop.
Hmm.
So the ones that we have on the market right now are a blend of 4-year Irish pot still whiskey, 4-year Irish grain whiskey, and 4-year either American bourbon or rye, depending on the product.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So okay. It's very interesting that one person actually um decide to quote unquote blend those two.
Mhm.
Is different than what people used to on the market. Uh
Absolutely.
but now he bring this thing up. It's the blend of both. Now you guys are selling it as just Irish American, or you is it eventually going to become O'Shaughnessy blend, or or which category are you trying to put yourself in?
I mean, it's hard to try and put us in a category because it is so different. I mean, we're not Irish whiskey, we're not American whiskey. We really are Irish American.
Correct.
Um, and so, we've been able to kind of, our standard, you know, this label.
Hmm.
This one has more Irish whiskey than American whiskey.
Hmm.
So kind of getting people who either like rye to try something a little different, or who really like Irish whiskey to try something a little different with adding some rye there. Then
Okay.
like the Irish bourbon blend. And this one is way more American whiskey than it is Irish whiskey. So this
Okay.
one is a slightly higher proof. We really wanted, we know that bourbon drinkers really tend to love their bourbon and want that
Correct.
to be kind of the standout flavor. And
Hmm.
so it's a slightly higher proof. The percentage is, higher in bourbon than what our Irish American blend is. And so it's really, getting people to try different styles, um,
Okay.
still having something that's a little familiar to them.
Okay. Makes sense. But I'll be honest. At first, I was confused. I
I was
really.
too. I was too, like when I first came on, I was like, I know I know a little bit about
I
Irish
know
whiskey.
Irish whiskey. I
I
know every part of
know
American
I
whiskey.
know rye,
All
I know
right.
bourbon, but combining
Yeah.
them together, I'm not totally sure about.
All right.
Um, and then when I tried it, I was like, well, okay, Brian is a master for a reason, and this works. And then getting to sit down with Brian and David Perkins and blend the Irish bourbon, I was like, okay, this this should
This
be a thing.
okay. So, what do you call it? So now, speaking of trying it,
Yeah.
I have it in front of me. It's 43% ABV, very Irish proof like,
Yep.
right? Um, and 43% ABV. And let's give it a quick, and for all of you guys, if you've never seen this bottle on the shelf, there you go. There you go. This is what you're looking at right here. All right. So, all right.
Oh, I love the black glass.
Yeah,
Love.
yeah. I have my own blind. It was a gift from a friend. They did my that's my label. Yeah, of course
Right?
it's an
I love
agreement.
it. I love it. The truth is in the proof. That's so perfect.
Usually I don't like people to see what I'm drinking. So it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's easy to hide this from people. It's like, oh, what are you drinking? Mind your business.
Right.
That this is my mind your business class.
I
All
love
right.
it. I love it.
Let me see here. So the nose is a little grainy
Mhm.
on the nose.
Absolutely.
Um, Fruity. You get a little bit of that marzipan. I know I hate that word, but marzipan-ish
Yeah. Yeah.
coming through. Um, Honestly, more a little fruit coming through. No spice at all. You will not tell that there is a rye, but it typically falling more leaning towards more Irish than it is American.
I would totally agree. And everyone kind of experiences it differently, but I definitely get the Irish on the nose and the rye kind of on the finish is kind of how my palate works, at least.
There we go. So we go in here. I'm seeing this right now. I'm like, okay, so far, nice, solid. That rice spice is perfectly falling right there on the finish there. You know, my lamp today is just trying to
Giving you
be,
problems, Jack.
be a
Giving
jerk
you
today. So I'm gonna let it live. I'm not gonna try to argue with it.
problems.
Let
Yeah,
me see.
for me, I get, and it's interesting because people who aren't familiar with Irish whiskey don't understand like how earthy pot still whiskey can be.
Hmm.
Because pot still is 50% unmalted barley, 50% malted barley. It's a
Correct.
very savory, earthy flavor profile. And like for me, I get like citrus and honeysuckle coming off of the
Hmm.
grain whiskey that's in there. And I get that on the nose first. And then I get this beautiful pot still mouth feel because, the shape of the still has so much to do with the mouth feel and the flavor that you get off of whiskey.
Correct.
You get that great, you know, really coating, almost oily mouth feel. And then you've got that just the rye spice complements how earthy the pot still is so well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I love like the sim almost the weirdest thing is very simple, but
Mhm,
yet complex. So
mhm.
I'm loving this simplicity. But let's talk about expressions. So this is your standard, I'll say your flagship, right? That's the 43% flagship. Uh, I will be honest, I've had it in the past and I thought, solid,
Mhm.
not bad, right? Not bad. So if it and I was like, you know what? This is what I want. I want to take this.
10?
I want because obviously you see what the thing say. The truth is barrel proof. I want to
Yeah.
try this at a higher proof to see what
Yeah.
are the complexity of the notes that actually are coming through on this
Mhm.
thing. I want more because for me the mouthfeel is amazing. The low that tickling, popping spice is happening well. But what else can I get? Because for me, I wanted to know more the quality of what you guys are doing
Mhm.
versus just more the blending. I can appreciate a good blender, but I
Yeah.
want to know at the raw side of this thing, what are we looking at? So
Yeah.
tell me
Yeah.
more about the cast strength. I'm sure a few people, especially in Minnesota, looked at you and went, it's cold up here. We're gonna need something a little stronger than
I
40.
approve. Well, it's funny because the whole reason that product came to be was because of our finishing program, our
Mm,
cask finishing program. Because we originally those releases were at 110 proof, and when we were bringing accounts in to taste the whiskey and choose their casks, we would always have a blend of it at 110 proof,
okay.
and then they could taste the finish so that they could really see what the barrel was doing to the
Yeah.
whiskey. And we had so many people be like, well, can I just have that?
That
Like,
one. Yeah.
can I
Yeah.
just have the standard stuff at 110? We're like, well, no, we don't really do that right now. And it really was because so many people were asking for it that we released it at 110. And I mean, when we make our blends, blend strength is at closer to 119, almost 120 proof.
Okay.
So even the 110, we have to add a little bit of reverse osmosis to get it there. But it is different. It's nice and bold, and we'll have to We'll have to get you some of the 110 proof.
No, absolutely, because so 110 is what I have in front of me here.
Is
I
that the 110 or is that the maple finish at 110?
No, 110. So I
Okay,
have
you
the
do.
110.
Good.
I have the single barrel,
Okay.
and you know what? No, I'm actually no. I have the castrant. Then I have the maple finish. The
Okay.
castrant is the one that the mailman decided to bring.
No. I hate it when
So
that happens.
I'd sent a message. I said I don't know what happened, but
Yeah, we'll
yeah,
have to
this
get you
is
another
this
one.
is this is what I got, and yeah, it was like a whole soaked, lowly a soaked box that I took with
Oh,
me,
oh no.
and yeah, it was not pretty, but uh, so tell me a little bit. So as they come in, how long are they spending in the barrel? How long what time are they spending in the barrel in Minnesota? Knowing obviously weather, right? So
Mhm.
how long are they spending in a barrel in when they are in Minnesota?
So, I mean, right now, the only stuff that we have in barrels are either stuff that we produce or our finishing casks.
Okay.
So, um,
So when they're aged in Ireland, right,
mhm,
and sent here, are
mhm,
they sent more in containers versus actually
containers.
barrels?
Yeah. So, and the reason we do that is, in order for it to still be considered Irish whiskey, it has to be produced, barreled and harvested in
Yeah.
Ireland.
Mhm,
So we get all of that in totes. Um,
mhm,
we do a couple containers a year, of whiskey coming over from Ireland. And, we definitely, I mean, Brian's in Ireland quite a bit and we'll check on
mhm.
our stuff. And, we do some finishing over there as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, everything is at least 4 years old before we get it.
I mean, you can tell it's a little long because of the graininess. You're young because of
Mhm,
the graininess, but I like the profile,
mhm.
and especially that kick on this one.
Yeah.
That rice spice come through immediately and go, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm loving it. The 110, I can understand why most people want the 110.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. I
over-
mean, the standard 43% was, really just to make sure that it was approachable to people. And I mean, the whiskey world, there are always trends of, we want lower proof, we want higher proof, and cast strength stuff is so big right now,
Mhm.
that you got to give the people what they want, and they want
Yeah.
higher strength stuff, so we're gonna do it.
I love this. The 110 definitely clock perfectly on my palate. I
Hmm.
love the depth of it. The oiliness that you mentioned originally is coming through now.
Oh
My
yeah.
tongue is perfectly quote like the coating on that gets there is it will be dangerous in a couple more years because obviously age is a big deal because of the temperature. Like I'm thinking in my head because of the temperature both in Ireland and in Minnesota. We
Mhm.
talking about colder temperatures. So you give two more year to this whiskey in a barrel. It'll be dangerous because
Mhm.
the amount of profile that are gonna come up, right, are gonna rise up into the whiskey is gonna
Yep.
be quite interesting. So I always almost tell people, I'm glad I'm tasting it now because in 2 years from now or in 3 years from now, when you guys are winning all those awards and becoming, I'm like, yeah, they started here.
Mhm.
And now this is what we have because I have this feeling that these notes are going to only evolve so well, especially in
Mhm.
low Ireland temperature. So it get time to really rise up the right way. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So we so you also beside that decided to have a castrant. So how are you guys going about the castrant? Is because I believe the castrant is the only one that you have as bourbon and Irish whiskey versus rye. Does that make sense? Because it's whiskey and Irish. Uh,
Yeah.
because
Um,
I was just confused a little bit. I'm like, the cast strength label always shows bourbon specifically versus
yeah.
just saying whiskey.
So I mean, we have just the standard Irish bourbon, which is at 92 proof. And then again, because bourbon drinkers tend to like their stuff at a higher proof. And that's another
Right.
thing with, American whiskey versus Irish whiskey. Irish whiskey isn't, you don't typically see it at a really high proof. It's normally
Nope.
at that lower proof. And so especially with, the product that is, you know, more bourbon than not,
Yeah.
we wanted to highlight that higher proof, and because bourbon does great at a higher proof.
Bourbon is amazing at a higher proof.
Yeah.
So that cast strength, tell me a little bit about it because the post office decided that I shouldn't have it. So
Yeah, I mean, so the Irish bourbon blend is one that, I feel a little bit more connected to, because I did get to sit down with Brian and David Perkins, who's one of our, so David, formerly of High West, he sold to Constellation a while ago, and he is one of our liquid collaborators. And so getting to sit down with David and Brian, and with our graduated cylinders and beakers, and trying these different combinations,
yeah.
was really fun to do. And I love it because we also tried a bunch of different bourbons.
Uh-huh.
Because you can have a high rye bourbon, a wheated bourbon, just a super corn bomb bourbon. And we,
You know what I'm going to ask
what are you gonna ask? What are you gonna ask me, Jack?
is what did you guys settle on?
So it's a rye bourbon. So it's,
High
75%
rye.
corn, 21% rye.
Okay.
You know what? It's such a good mash bill. And we liked that you still had some of that rye spice to blend with the pot still. This one definitely drinks more like a bourbon, and it's more of like that pot still finish.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas before with the Irish American, it was more Irish with a rye finish. And I guess I'm just a bourbon gal. Because
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But the real question is, do you know the source
do I know the source?
of the
Of course
bourbon?
I know the source.
Oh, hey,
Of course.
you know, okay. Can the
Um,
source be revealed?
yeah. We say it on our tour, so
Yeah,
I am
okay.
telling you. Um, so in case you didn't guess it with that mash bill, it is MGP bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise, surprise. It's a recipe that I've been familiar with. My last job was at Old Elk Distillery, so I was working with Greg Metz, who was formerly
Yeah.
of MGP, and we used that mash bill for one of our products, not our straight whiskey, but another product, and so I was familiar with it. We always check the quality of the bourbon that we get before we blend it. But you get that sweetness, you get that rye spice. And then the Irish whiskey that we use comes from Great Northern Distillery over in Ireland. So that's the
No
source
secret.
of
I
whiskey.
love the transparency. I tell people all the time, when a brand is transparent, at least we know what we're drinking. If I'm gonna spend my money, I at least want you to
Absolutely.
tell me how you came up with it. Sometimes I want a little bit of the magic, but truly,
Mhm.
a little transparency goes a long way, and a
Mhm.
lot of people actually love that transparency. Sometimes, like, hey, I appreciate you telling me X, Y, and Z. I think I'm glad I know more about what is it that you're doing. So I appreciate that you are very transparent
Yep.
what you have. But it seems like you guys are not stopping experimenting, right? So there's a lot happening with your brand.
Mhm.
And one that I didn't even know about. But I know you guys do single barrels, right? And because Nebraska here had a single barrel, I know you guys do single barrels. But you doing single barrel and finishes?
Yep. So because the product is a blend, we can't really do. I mean, I guess we could do a single barrel, but it would just be of pot stiller, it would just be of bourbon. So it's not really on brand for us. So what we do is we blend Keeper's Heart and then put that into different finishing casks. And actually, I'm pretty sure Nebraska, actually Omaha, got one of my favorite ones that we did. We did 1 barrel of it, and it's this this Irish bourbon finished in a Tokai cask.
And Tokai is my favorite cask. So
yeah,
anything in Tokai, I'm usually excited.
So that one was my favorite single barrel that we did. Cask strength ended up being at like 114 proof. It dropped a bit, but it's beautiful, and I'm 90% sure it's in Omaha.
All right. Maybe for all of you guys in Omaha, if you find it, make sure you trying to grab it, because Tokai barrel, and also being obviously a finished barrel. But the one I have in front of me is one that was finished in a maple.
Yes.
So do you guys make different label for your finishes, or is it more just about the same label that you guys use for your
Sorry, say that one more time for me.
Do you do different labels for your finishes, or is it just the standard label?
So I mean, I'm just gonna flip around to the bar.
Go ahead.
So I mean, it's the standard Keeper's Heart, but the bottom half of that label will change.
Okay.
So you know, we've got the maple syrup here. We've got Madeira, an IPA, a Cabernet, another maple.
Oh, a lot of finishes.
You know, a imperial stout, virgin oak, used rye. So we like to play. I even have an apple cider here too. So
wow.
One thing that Brian is very adamant on is, you know, how can we complement the whiskey with other flavors? You know, he has a lot of finishing experience, being from Middleton, but so we get to play a lot, which is really, really nice. It's
really a lot of fun. Yeah.
Really fun part of the job. And the maple syrup was, we ended up connecting with Bliss, and they're out of Michigan. And they do a barrel-aged maple syrup, a bourbon barrel-aged maple syrup. And, you know, I thought when we first got it, I was like, it's going to be so cloying sweet. I don't know about this.
The nose doesn't smell sweet.
It's not that cloying sweetness that I initially thought it was going to be. I should have just, you know, trusted Brian right away, but I had to taste it for myself. But yeah, it's not overly sweet. I like that reaction.
This should be called the sneaky link.
Yeah.
Okay. It sneaks up on you. This should be called the sneaky link. Is the nose color wise even? You're not getting a lot on the color. Is really more, very much so close to the two. You cannot tell the difference between it and the cask 110. I have both in front of me. Slight difference, but not a lot. But the taste wise, like on the nose, it was a little faint. So I was like, oh, I don't know. It's probably just faint a little bit. But no, there's that beautiful caramel sweetness, almost ripeness to it right away as you have a sip. This is solid.
Yeah, it's pretty great. You know, and we wanted to cap it at a 3-month finish, just so that it didn't turn into like a barrel-aged cocktail almost with how sweet it was. But it never got there. I mean, we even have a maple barrel that's been going for, let's see, a year and 4 months. And I like it because it you know, it past that initial sweetness, and then you really get more into that like true maple flavor, not
Even
the
the finish, the
but the
finish is
maple.
twisted. I'm loving the finish. Is
Mhm.
the finish has depth, and I like that. It's not just like it was like it's not somebody sweetened something and gave it to me and went, oh, go for it. It's
Mhm.
it's quite interesting itself.
Mhm.
On
And
the
it
sweet,
evolves while it's sitting in your mouth. After you swallow it, it's an evolution. It's a journey.
I, I'm I'm loving how this is evolving. So, which bring me to the question: how many of these, of these finishes do you guys have on record right now?
I mean, the most variety you're gonna get is if you come to the distillery.
Okay.
Um, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 10. We try and do a release like once a quarter.
Okay.
Um, but you know, then we also have these available out in market. Um, I think I want to say we did about 70 finishing casks last year in 2023. And some of them were super goofy. We did an orange sherry
Oh,
finish, which was so good. I think that one ended up
so
in
those are distillery only release. Somebody
no,
comes.
that one ended up in Wichita, I think, either Wichita or Kansas City.
So
Um,
you really give your retailer the ability to just do whatever their heart desire.
Pretty much. I mean, that Tokai cask, that Irish bourbon in Tokai, that was the one Irish bourbon in Tokai that we had. I wanted to keep it so badly. I was
Wow.
I was fighting to keep that as a in-house release. Because I just think it's absolutely fantastic. But at the same time, that would be so selfish of me
That
to,
is true. That
you
is
know,
true.
to only have it here and not out in the market. Um, because ultimately we don't want, you know, the only place for you to find finishes at the distillery. We want you to be able to find those in your local liquor store and in your favorite place. Have a good night, Mike. Um, and so, you know, yeah, it would be selfish. Sometimes I am selfish when it comes to whiskey, but it
Oh, we
happens.
all. For now, for all the people here that are watching or maybe watching the recast, just wanted you to know, if you want to know where, when, how to actually get your hands on this whiskey, first go to your retailer and tell them, hey, I want you to have it. If they don't have it, say, hey, I want you to have it here for me. But if you're somebody who live maybe in the middle of Alaska and don't know maybe a retailer that can do something for you, here is the website for you. It's keepersheartwhiskey.com. Easy breezy. You just go on there. They have probably one of the sleekest website I found. You can go on the shop. You can pick your package. You can pick what you want. You can literally schedule a tour, reserve a table, a visit. You can join their cask society, which it would be my question. Tell me a little bit about your cask society. What is that about?
Yeah. So the Cask Society program is really kind of an invitation for people to really kind of become a part of the distillery. And what that membership is you get a cask. You can either get a cask of the, you know, classic Irish style. So 50% malted barley, 50% unmalted barley, laudered, off grain, triple pot distilled, made here at the distillery. Or you can choose the 100% rye triple pot distilled or the triple pot distilled bourbon.
Okay.
Um, and so then we age that cask for you. We'll age it up to 10 years if that's how long you want to hold on to it. There are some, you know, special little perks that I honestly don't know all of the perks that comes with it. I know that we pull samples of the casks at least once a year so that you can taste, how your specific cask is doing. And you can come in and just be a part of the family.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
What's coming up? You guys are playing in finishes. You're working with a cask strength. You have 110 for the folks that like the heat. You have your standard expression.
Mhm.
What's coming up? What is 2024? What does Keeper's Heart has for the folks, for the
Yeah.
people?
2024 is, we don't have a ton of stuff like new things coming to the market because we did a lot of that in 2023, and right now all of our stuff that we're producing in-house is aging.
Mhm.
We do have, I know we're working on getting the last little parts of our packaging ready, but we do have a fun 20 plus year old Irish single malt finished in Tokai coming out here
Wait a minute. Wait.
sometime this year.
20, 20 agent. I guess Kate, you have to come back and tell me about this because I
I
don't know.
will.
I
I
don't know.
will. Once it
That,
comes
that
out.
would be that would be different because I do not believe I've tasted any Irish whiskey yet finish 100% in Tokai. That's one, but also of that age.
Yeah, so the age was, so originally it's a used bourbon barrel, and then we finished it in the Tokai. But oh man, it is.
I can only
Oh.
imagine. And now you guys dumping it at Cass?
I think we're gonna add a little bit of water to it. I'm not even sure the exact proof. That's how kind of new this one is.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
that I'm very very curious about.
it's
I cannot wait to actually. For me,
beautiful.
I tell you what. When it comes to Ireland as a whole, I love the country, I love the whiskey, and I love the people. Right?
Mhm.
I was there 2 years ago, exactly at this time. I was there 2 years ago, and I'm like, take me back today. I'll be back. Don't like the gloomy mornings, but take me back. Right.
Yeah.
That's really what it's down to. If there's one thing you want the people to know, the people that are walking into the whiskey, are walking on the shelf, and they see Keeper's Heart, they're like, I don't know anything about that. If there's one thing you want the folks to know, one or two things you want the folks to know about your whiskey and what you will advocate for as far as Keeper's Heart is concerned, what would it be?
Don't be afraid to try new things. It's so easy as a whiskey drinker to kind of get stuck in your, nope, I'm a bourbon drinker, I'm a bourbon drinker, I'm a bourbon drinker, I just drink wine, I'm a Scotch drinker, whatever it is. But don't be afraid to try something new. We're getting to blend the different styles is really funny or really fun. Any new states coming this
Oh no,
year?
I will display soon. Keep going.
Okay, I was like, oh snap.
We'll do the Q&A. Don't worry.
But yeah, don't be afraid to try it because it really is beautiful. And then if you're ever in the Twin Cities, come see us, because one of my favorite things about people coming to visit the distilleries, if you do a tour, you get a full rundown of the history of the distillery, going through the cooking process, the fermentation, the distillation, and then you go down to the Keep, which is kind of our little tour tasting room, and you get to try the Irish grain by itself, the Irish pot still by itself, and then the American rye by itself, and then Keeper's Heart finish, like all together. So you really get to appreciate what each individual spirit is bringing to the final product, because I think that's especially for people who are new to whiskey, they might not understand what those different styles actually mean.
Yeah.
So definitely come see us. Come see it. Check out a tour. The tour guides are fantastic.
Minnesota, stand up. If you
You
live
know,
in if you live in Illinois, if you live in North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Iowa, drop.
mhm,
That's like a drive, right?
mhm,
Is a drive. It's exactly 5 hours and 30 minutes from my house straight
mhm.
to that distillery. I know this because I've been in Minnesota multiple times. I know exactly what the distance is.
And we're having a warmer winter, so this is the year to come.
That's code for it's not below zero. That's code in Minnesota for it's not below zero.
We've only
When I tell people we have a warmer winter, what I'm
yeah,
trying to tell them is like, hey, usually we're in the negative, but as long as we're in the positive, that's a warmer winter.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I uh I I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you taking your time and talking
Of
to me.
course.
We are gonna get to Q&A. This is your opportunity to ask any question you want in the show, any question you may have about Keeper's Heart. What is holding you back from maybe trying it, or even something you heard here that maybe you have a question about? I
Mhm.
am ready to actually go. First question that came through is from my man Saint No Patrick said any new state coming in because he always is always somebody who love to support local businesses. So not necessarily want to buy online. Any new state coming up because the man is in Arizona. So he want to know is any new state coming up and is Arizona on the list?
Oh, that's a tough question for me to answer because I'm just a simple distiller. I actually have no idea what our expansion plans are for this year. Probably something I should look into, but I can definitely talk to my team and then let you know, and see if we can get in contact with you to see when we can get you some whiskey.
No, absolutely. So Arizona is it may be on the list. So
Maybe.
um I, I would tell you right now, don't be afraid to actually jump on and trying things that are right here. But ask. I will tell you right now, start bugging your retailer. Say, hey, why is it that you don't have my favorite whiskey? I would love for you to have it. So the retailer bug the distributor bug the distillery, and then they make it a thing. For all of you guys who don't understand, I just explained to you the three-tier system. Is
Right?
is go and talk to your store, say, hey, I'm spending money here. I want this whiskey. He's
Yeah.
gonna tell the distributor, hey, I got people bugging me about this whiskey. Can we have it? So they are gonna go, hey, Keeper's Heart. Can you choose us to actually come to our state? And they have no choice but to say, hey, if you're gonna give us money, why not? We come to your state. So that's how we work. So that's the only question we've had. A few people on the Instagram side actually say they love your stuff. They love actually what you do and love your stuff. So you have fans out there. You have fans out there, and sometimes I always tell people most brands live in this bubble where they don't know that some people just obviously if the PNL is looking good is because somewhere somebody loved drinking your whiskey.
Mhm.
It's the perfect introduction whiskey for most folks. But hey, thank you. Thank you
Of
for being
course.
here. Thank you for taking your time, making us go through this. Most people won't choose Minnesota as their destination, but I said there's two things I travel for: food and whiskey. So,
Oh, we've got great food in the cities too. So
see,
yeah.
so for all of you guys who want to travel for whiskey and for food, or you are traveling to I-80 or going through Minnesota, stop in.
Mhm.
Say, hey, I'm just popping in to see what's happening. So they can actually serve you a little something, and maybe you see Kate and say, I saw you on the internet." That's my life. So I'm assuming that's gonna be your life. Somebody saw me last time I Saturday at the gym, and he literally pointed from the other side of the gym and said, "I know you from the internet." I'm like, "Excuse me?" He goes, "I know you from the internet." I go, hello." He's like, "I'm sorry, hello."
Like you're like, okay, there we go. There we go.
So maybe if you go there, you say, "Hey, I know, I
Mhm.
know," you know. Uh, Oh yeah. People are asking. They want you to come to Omaha Whiskey Fest too, right? They want you to come to
Oh,
Omaha
Whiskey
Whiskey
Fest.
Fest.
Okay.
I know your distributor here is Johnson Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to Johnson Brothers and tell them, hey, stop sending your people. We don't want them. We want to come ourselves to actually board the people. So
And I remember when we first launched in Omaha, myself and Shannon, who is one of the O'Shaughnessy's sisters, the two of us went down and went store to store trying to get places to carry our product. So
yeah.
I would not be opposed to coming back at
No, you
all.
need to come. You need to come back, and you just see the folks and chat with the folks. And it's always, I tell people, the reason why I do this particularly is not because of what comes with it. Because God knows this is my time that I'm spending doing this. I do this because I want people to know who is behind the brand, right? Who are
No.
the faces? Who are the people? Because if you're spending your money, what are you supporting?
Yep.
Right. So that's the one you for all of you guys watching or watching the recast or here on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for always supporting. Remember, like, follow, share. Make sure you actually follow Keeper's Heart on all their social media. And for all of you guys here, Thursday, the 25th, is National Irish Coffee Day.
Hmm.
And I have some good things coming your way. I've partnered with Keeper's Heart to bring you something special. I just saw the last of what we've done to create for that day, and you guys are gonna love it. So I'm very excited. They were so kind and so nice. We're gonna have some codes. We're gonna have some free shit, and we're gonna teach you about some stuff. For stay tuned on Thursday. Some heat is gonna fall your way on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube with Keeper's Heart. I can't thank you enough to want to collaborate with me to do something very special for Irish Coffee Day. I'm looking forward to it. And for all of you guys watching, thank you so much for being here. And we will see you. We'll see you next time. Isn't it funny that I actually just ended our Instagram live